Hey guys, we're here at Eppig Brewing, and today we're sitting down with Clayton, who's co-founder and brewer here. Is that right?
That's right.
Awesome. So what's your background and how did you get started opening up at Eppig?
I started in beer as a bartender at Carl Strauss. Starting to work there, you learn a lot quickly, and I knew I was falling in love with beer and I wanted to get a job in more the production side of beer. I ended up starting in the back of the house at Ballast Point, bottling line, kegging, and then moved up to brewer there and was a brewer for roughly the last 3 or 4 years up till this past fall. 2 years ago or so, Stephanie's husband and I were introduced through a mutual friend, and he told me his wife's story, Stephanie, our other partner, and the Eppig family history, which piqued a couple notes on napkins, and then those napkins got thrown away, and then we wrote more notes on napkins, and then we had some more meetings, and then there were handshakes and a great leap of faith in each other, and we said, okay, let's do this.
Could you talk a little bit more about the history? Because I think the name is a pretty interesting name.
Yeah.
I know that there's a lot of history tied to that name, so how did that come about?
Yeah, we do get a lot of questions on the name. Eppig is a family name with a lot of history attached to it. Stephanie's family, Stephanie Eppig, can trace a line all the way back to Brooklyn, New York, where her great-great-great-grandfather and great-great-uncle, Joseph and Leonhard Eppig, and their family had breweries in Brooklyn. There were German lager houses, there were German immigrants, and they made German lagers with great success. They were a pretty large-sized company, and it lasted about 70 years. We are J&L Eppig Brewing to kind of respect and carry on that lineage. After Prohibition, the family lost the breweries to basically the mob. But they never really lost the passion and the connection to this great long-term success that the family had, and it just got taken away from them. So when we were planning this, we got to look at all that stuff, and it really seemed like a genuine place to go back to.
So we have a flight of beers here. What can you tell us about these beers? What inspired this lineup of beers that you have here?
Yeah, we have 16 beers on right now. These are 4 kind of just favorites of mine. So should we try some?
Please.
All right.
Let's indulge.
So Fest beer, German style lager. When the word fest is referring to Oktoberfest, when you go to Oktoberfest, you don't drink Oktoberfest beer. Oktoberfest beers are Martins, another type of lager. It just tends to be more copper or ruby, or and a little fuller in body, a little more caramely, a little more viscous. But when you go to Oktoberfest, if you've ever seen pictures or been there yourselves, when you see the large steins that they're carrying, it tends to be a blonder colored beer, like a straw or a golden colored beer. That's fest beer. If you're going to drink all day like they do at Oktoberfest, you can't probably do it with a Martin or anything heavier than that. You need something that sort of fits in the middle. It's not malt forward in the sense that you're chewing on crackers or biscuits. It's really mellow, smooth, and dry finishing.
Yeah, I think this is a really good beer for beer drinkers who aren't necessarily into craft beer per se. Like I have a lot of family that isn't really into craft beer.
Sure.
They've been drinking Bud Lights their whole life practically. Yeah. But I think this is that good. You were talking about that bridge, right, between the old and the new.
Natural bridge.
Exactly.
That's it. You're drinking the big 3 beers because it's what you buy big cases of, and that's what we know.
Yeah.
And so what you have here is you can bring this to somebody who is one of those kind of drinkers. It is inside their wheelhouse, but it's full of flavor,
right,
without being overpowering. So, next one.
Next one, please. Yes.
Yeah, that's for you guys. I have them all the time. I'm going to drink this one. The next one under the Natural Bridge Lager series is our Schwarzbier. As you can see, if you look up at our menu for the lagers, we used the names of the styles as opposed to like a clever name, which we kind of did with our ales. All the styles so far in our lager series are going to be named their style because they're new to a lot of people. Schwarzbier. What is a Schwarzbier? Well, Schwarz means black. So this is a black lager. People get scared. Is this a porter? Is this a stout? Is it going to be really heavy? They see dark, think heavy. This is going to really change the minds of a lot of people. But when you take a sip of our Schwarzbier, you can see that it's finishing clean. It's fairly dry. It has a touch of roast, but not overly chocolatey or anything like that.
Yeah, I prefer mostly like Hefeweizen type beers.
Sure.
And so when I see a dark beer, I think I still naturally have that
Absolutely.
apprehension a little bit, but it is a light body, and that smoothness really makes it easier to drink for someone such as myself who wouldn't really gravitate towards a stout or anything like that. So
Yeah, I don't really drink too many porters or stouts and stuff like that. So it's not overwhelmingly roasty, you know what I mean? It's like the right amount. So I like it.
yeah,
It's good.
Real subtle roast.
Yeah.
Next, as I was looking outside, I'm looking towards the sunshine. We have Civility. It's our West Coast blonde, so we've now moved into our ales. The style of a blonde is meant to be kind of another perfect example of one of those gateway craft styles. The twist on this one is we add a bit of a dry hop to it. So dry hopping is after the beer is completely fermented out, it's finished, and in a sense you could drink it right then. We add hops to the fermenter to just bring out some floral notes without being overly bitter, which is sometimes as we start stepping up into the pale ales and IPAs that can challenge an average or a new beer consumer who's not really like a hophead yet or anything like that. But after a good day of work, a hot sweaty day, that's really refreshing. That and fest beer I can go kind of back and forth between.
Yeah, it really has that like lemony smell, that aroma is there.
That's a Centennial.
So refreshing.
Definitely get the floral flavor in there. Yeah, it's really good.
So we, as we start going up our menu on the hoppy ale side, this one's at the bottom of where we've started introducing some hops. But now we're going to start taking up the bitterness as we go through the other IPAs. The next beer we have actually is one of those IPAs. It's our 1045 to Denver. So this certainly is going to have a hop-forward nose, a hop-forward flavor, and bitterness. The featured hops in this one are Mosaic and Cascade, something that you see around town and in other beers. We just have a really nice ratio of those in there. For those who are hop heads or IPA drinkers, this is an IPA that you could drink in a session type fashion.
What inspired the name on this?
So the 1045 to Denver is a lightly inside story between Nathan, the other brewer, our principal brewer, and some of our other old friends and staff from Ballast Point when they were at GABF, Great American Beer Festival. For those who don't know, that's the big award show that we all want to win awards at, and hopefully we'll be there this year, and if we're lucky, maybe we'll come home with something shiny. By the end of the weekend, lack of sleep and lots of beer, and they have things that you can eat in that particular state that are been known to make you feel a little wacky. So accumulation of all those things, getting to the end of the week, riding home in the car, I think to the airport, the guy in the front started spouting out the time to everybody in the car, and he said, "You guys just asked me what time it was." And everyone in the car was, "Maybe did we? Did we ask what time it was?" No, nobody had asked what time it was. This guy was just hearing things, and at that moment he was like, "Oh my God, get me out of this place." And they were headed to the airport to get out for a week of detox, basically. And the time that he told everybody was, it was 10:45. So this was, as we were making this beer, our first IPA kind of basically represents what we consume in great quantities. The next beer that we have here, and this pretty colored red beer, is Glitz and Glam. Red ruby colored,
Beautiful color.
Berliner Weiss. We add real raspberry and cherry to this at the very end of fermentation, after primary fermentation. It's a good option for me that's just refreshing, but it's also a great beer to introduce maybe people who are, again, outside of beer and bringing them kind of crossover beer, which is something when we're talking to Berliner Weiss, that's tart, it's sour. That
Exactly,
we use yogurt to kind of get a sour flavor to it. But this is one for people who maybe are a champagne lover, but not necessarily a beer lover, so they think. I'll often give this one as a suggestion, and to them it's almost like a raspberry champagne or a rosé.
Yeah, I definitely get a strong raspberry.
Yeah?
And it's really full flavored.
It's tart, but it's not overwhelmingly tart.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, I think with all of these beers so far, just that drinkability is there. I think a lot of times for people, again, who aren't really into the craft beer, that kind of show up to a brewery for like a friend's birthday party or whatever, it can be a little overwhelming. But I think these kind of again, going back to that bridge, between the old and the new, but also that bridge between beer drinkers and non-beer drinkers almost.
Yeah.
And yeah, this is delicious.
Yeah, I agree.
Each one of these beers are beers that I can have a pint of. Not every beer needs to be a conversation starter in the sense that, ooh, wow, how does this challenge me? I think you should have a few of those featured, But really, the breadth of your beers should be beers you want to drink.
Are you guys kid friendly? Are you guys dog friendly?
Yeah, we definitely want to be inclusive here. We have kids and dogs ourselves. Some of the best days when I can bring in Fozzie, who's my dog, and just let him hang out in the brewery.
What kind of dog?
He's a Bernese mountain dog. Big dog, big hairy dog.
Big dog.
So we definitely allow families and kids. We try to have food trucks on the weekends, Fridays and Saturdays and Sundays. So we always have a dog bowl outside. We always have a water bowl for kids too. And all we ask is that we want well-behaved dogs, kids, and parents, and otherwise, everyone enjoy.
For real, that's the truth. Awesome.
It's a unique location because you have 2 breweries next door, so
right.
There's 3 total in one building.
Correct.
Which is the first in San Diego, I think, to have one place for multiple breweries that you can visit.
It is. The Brewery Igniter program that we are utilizing here allowed some of our friends who are next door, and as well as us, to kind of get open in a quicker fashion. And we also really wanted to help clean up the neighborhood. It wasn't as a favor to the neighborhood, so we cleaned it up by putting 3 breweries in one building instead of a gentleman's club. And the neighborhood's happy about it.
That's awesome.
Did I miss anything? I'm trying to think if I missed anything. I don't. Yeah, anything?
Good practice. Let's start over. We're excited to be in North Park. It's pretty much San Diego's the mecca of the world for beer, we think, right now, and I think North Park is at the tip of that spear. We couldn't be happier to have our neighbors, and the community's been really great about open arm welcoming us. It's been a fast ride, and we are definitely looking forward to sharing more beer with people in our community as we move forward.
Awesome. Well, that being said, I guess this about wraps it up for us here at Craft Beer Me. Make sure you stop by Eppig Brewing for a little bit of taste of the history and the future. And cheers to Eppig.
Cheers.